Target audiences make it easy for films to aim to the public, as everyone has different interests, as it would be impossible to make a film to suit every single person's wants and needs from a film. Knowing your genre and your target audience helps the filmmakers know what content to include and what not to include. When researching the certificate for films in our subgenre, we found that the majority of them were classified as 15. Examples of this would include Insidious, Paranormal Activity, and The Last Exorcism. All of these films feature a similar supernatural character to ours, and manage to show a considerable amount of blood, gore, and violence without falling into the next age rating category of 18. The reason that we wanted to ensure that our film opening was only 15 would be because of the fact that we could in theory maximize the box office potential. This is because, according to Wes Craven's theory, the target audience for supernatural horror films would be males aged 15 to 25. From there onwards, we knew that the best possible certificate was going to be 15, and this meant that we had to take certain steps to ensure that it wasn't overly gory or violent, so that we could maximize our target audience. To do this, beforehand we as a group checked what exactly we could include within our film opening. According to the BBFC, which is a British board of film classification, a 15 certificate horror film can permit strong and threat and menace, unless it is sadistic or sexualized. The site also states that violence may be strong, but must not dwell on pain or injury. Overall, I feel that our film opening fits this 15 criteria. Gender-wise, I feel that it would appeal more towards males. We believe this because of our previous secondary research, which suggested that supernatural films were more commonly watched and higher rated by males. We attracted our target audience through many different ways by using a variety of different codes and conventions of a supernatural horror film that were already familiar to our audience. However, we wanted to add some new and unique features. We felt that the best way to satisfy our audience would be to mainly deliver what they wanted. One of the first things that we noticed was when asked to rank several horror films in order, the first ones were Insidious and Paranormal Activity. From here on, we looked into what it was that mainly separated these two films from the rest of the options, which included Scary Movie, Saw, and The Shining. We concluded that the main standout feature would be how there are many jump scares. So as the audience wanted this, we decided to incorporate these ideas into our film. Although one of the main reasons of going to watch a film is escapism, we wanted the audience to feel frightened at the thought that the supernatural occurrences can happen to the most simple people, as seen within our opening. On the other hand, you could still argue that our film does allow for the audience to escape their own lives, as depending on your point of view, supernatural occurrences are something that are rarely seen or are maybe something that is fictional. Another way that we attracted our audience would be through the use of mise-en-scène, and how we attempted to make our film look unique by having blood footprints on the floor, and how we opted to have an evil character wearing unique and scary clothing. Beforehand, we asked our audience what film had the scary supernatural villain. Majority of the people said that Insidious and The Ring featured the most scariest villains, and in both films there are female characters with long black hair in front of their face draped in blood, so we attempted to make our character similar to this. The sound and music helped us create the perfect atmosphere for our film opening, and in turn address our audience. At the beginning, we had a rather long and chilling Latin prayer, which was another risky but unique approach. Towards the second part of the opening, as the main character approaches the house and enters, and especially as he approaches the window for the jump scare, there was a huge build-up of tension through the use of music. As he approaches the window, the music builds up, and we incorporate the use of sinister voices and screeches as he gets closer. These voices, during a tense scene, were one of the most conventional things to do with sound from horror films, and this meant it would be familiar with our target audience already. Finally, at the start of our opening, the first thing that is seen by the audience is the distribution and production companies. Briefly, we chose two companies that would be known to our target audiences. We chose Blumhouse Productions and Bad Robot, and these are both companies often associated with horror films and successful films. This means that many people from our target audience would already be familiar with them.
When constructing our film opening, we use various bits of technology. For example, when filming our scenes, we chose to use the Canon 1200D. By using this camera, it allows us to manually and automatically focus the video. It also allows us to film in 1080p, also known as Full HD, which means we can easily produce quality footage which is at a professional level. We also chose this camera because it allows us to film in 25 frames per second. The frame rate was a very important setting for our film, as our genre is horror, and by using this frame rate, it allows us to create a smooth and continuous footage. As a group, we agreed that 25 frames per second in 1080p was a great fit for our opening. We also agreed that by using this, it would be the best option for filming. When filming, we agreed that we would need a tripod to keep our footage still. When looking at past footage and other tripod tests, we decided not to buy an expensive tripod. So we looked for a tripod that could be moved easily and that would be cheap. So we decided to look at Argos and ended up going with a cheap Argos value tripod. Although we had a cheap value tripod, we thought that it still provided us with stable positioning. After filming, we used different platforms to store our work. For example, throughout the whole process, we used an SD card to transfer work from the camera, but we often transferred footage onto other platforms, such as USB, Google Drive, and Dropbox. We decided that we should put all our work on the USB because it did not affect our footage, and did not lower the resolution or quality of our footage. We originally thought to put all our work on Dropbox so that we could access it at all times, but often the footage would get degraded and the quality would get lost. It also took long for our footage to upload to the site. When editing our opening, as a group we chose to upload to Google Drive because it did not take long to upload and the footage quality would stay the same. By uploading to Google Drive, it also allowed the whole group to view it at the same time, and it also allowed us to comment on it. By using Google Drive, it also allowed other people to comment on our video and tell us how to improve. Before editing our clips, we looked at different softwares and which ones were best for editing our clips. We decided we would edit the whole clip in After Effects CC because the program allows for more user customizability and also allows us to add in plugins which can motion track footage, add masking, and allows us to maintain a professional and consistent color correction throughout our opening. Other reasons why we chose After Effects was because we could change quality of our footage and we could also change speed of our clips efficiently. We could also put clips together efficiently while maintaining the same continuity. When looking at sound, we wanted to be simple, so we went with the YouTube audio library. This had a vast library of audio sounds which were all copyright free.
Looking back on our preliminary task, we recognised that we could have improved in many different areas, one of those being the continuity, which could have been improved. Also, the mise-en-scène of our preliminary task didn't have much of an effect on the audience, leaving them to interpret what was happening through factors such as dialogue. Comparing our preliminary task to the final product of our opening sequence, The Ring, we found that we used more professional shots compared to the preliminary. Now looking back on to our work, we realised the effects and power which music, costume and changing the mise-en-scène could have on creating a piece of work which is effective yet entertaining to the audience. Our demon character, which was portrayed by Nikita, wore a white top and black trousers at the same time as having fake blood splattered on her hands and costume. We found this to be effective because it gave the audience something to be interested in and also helped raise some tension in the opening sequence itself. This made the character to become more apparent from the audience to see who the villain and the victim was within the scene. However, within our preliminary, we found that we wore casual school attire, which didn't give the characters any form of individuality or help give the audience an understanding of our positions and what we had meant to portray. I found that with our preliminary task, we only used one type of shot to cut back and forth between two characters, which quickly made myself and probably the audience lose interest. However, within our opening sequence, The Ring, we found that we used things such as panning, establishing shots and mid-shots, and long shots, and also some interesting shots which were conducted on our own makeshift trolley. Furthermore, this preliminary task shows how we have improved in many different areas, such as editing, camera shots, and simply changing the mise-en-scène of our opening sequence, including things such as location to help build more tension or an emotion which we wanted the character to the audience to have. Further factors which have improved from our primary task is the camera quality, the way which we operated the camera itself. I found that within our final opening sequence, we wanted to manipulate the camera in many different forms, such as messing around with the depth of field. We also realised that within our preliminary task, in some of the shots, we cut off the actors' heads, and this is something also we have improved on since that time.
In our film opening, we tried to use the general conventions of a horror film and apply them to our film. Some of these conventions include tense music, fast-paced shots, and dark lighting. By knowing this beforehand, we could adapt our mise-en-scène to best suit our purpose. We drew inspiration from horror films such as Paranormal Activities, Insidious, The Darkness Falls, as well as The Ring. By watching a few opening scenes from these films, we could see which conventions made them successful, especially Paranormal Activities, as it was a low-budget film but was highly successful commercially. We also went with the traditional convention of having a male actor being haunted by a female dressed in white. These conventions are used in films like The Ring. The dark lighting scene in the hallway was also successful as it created suspense and foreshadowed events to come. When compared to Darkness Falls, we found that there was a similar element when the supernatural figure appeared. The lights either flickered on or off, or there was a dark room with hardly any light. Similarly, in our opening, when the supernatural figure first appeared, the lights flickered on and off as she came closer to Aaron. The convention of curiosity was demonstrated when Aaron could not reach the emergency services and so decided to investigate the supernatural figure. Like most horror films, the victim is curious and eventually this becomes their downfall. The convention of using scenes that make the audience jump through the use of sound, camera work and editing was evident in our opening towards the end. In reality, we would use Johnny Depp because he has played a wide variety of roles, ranging from a barber to a demon. From films such as Drag Me to Hell, the first victim is usually a female as they are typically seen as being more innocent and weaker than men. However, we chose to make a male victim be the first of many that were haunted by the supernatural figure.
We looked at many film distribution companies and media institutes like 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Lionsgate, and we ended up going with Warner Brothers because we researched and found out that Warner Brothers had past experience in paranormal films. So as a group, we decided that we should therefore choose Warner Brothers as our overall distributor.
In our film opening, we had two main characters. These were Aaron Jardile and the supernatural figure. As Aaron was portrayed by Harpal, we wanted him to appear as ordinary as possible. For example, he woke up early in the morning at 8:30. We did this to make Aaron seem more realistic and more like a typical student. The clothes that Aaron wore were overall casual smart. He wore black shoes, grey trousers, a white shirt and a red cardigan. This attire made Aaron seem like he's from a working class background as he's seen leaving the house early in the morning and returning late in the evening. As we were targeting an audience of around 15 to 25, we made the character dress and act in this particular way so that the audience could relate to the lifestyle of Aaron. We chose to make Aaron act carefree and disorganized as most teenagers are at that age. Although this is a stereotype, this was done to make Aaron seem more relatable and understanding. We also tried to make Aaron make choices that most people would. For example, when Aaron saw the supernatural figure, most people would scream, run, and seek help. Similarly, we made Aaron do these things to make him more relatable. We chose to use a male actor because they are typically seen as being more fearless and brave. In the face of the unknown, both males and females would react in different ways. For example, in films like Paranormal Activities and The Ring, the victims who were both males and females reacted differently from each other. In The Ring, the female victim responded differently to one of the male victims to the supernatural figure. For this reason, we chose to use a male actor because they are typically more curious and would react differently to the female actress.